going back. So moving forward, you guys are going to need to start working on the prep work for course 3. And so this is where you will build your first web app. Okay? And so you will, this will be an assignment, but it's just doing a tutorial. And in this assignment, first you're going to want to do these things to prepare you. So you will watch these videos, and then make sure it tells you where to go in the video. Read these articles. This is a great description. These articles are a little dry. Just try to try to understand the basic idea. You can skim them if you want. I'll tell you, it's some things that are really important for sure is learning more about HTTP. Okay, so really take a look at that. And this response status codes and URLs are tied into that. So, and I don't know if I remember what these even go to. What is a web server? Yeah, just do them all. Skim them, at least skim them all. All right, and then when you get to here, this is where the assignment is. And then after that, these are optional, but it's really probably a good idea that you take a look at these. I think so. The internet, I think, is going to be more of a hardware look at and communication networking. Look at the background information, which you don't necessarily need to understand to do this kind of work on a basic level, but makes you way more powerful if you do understand it. Okay, so things like that networking background, domain names, has a bunch of stuff that will help you understand how the basically how the internet is divided up between people, and how, what are you paying for, and understanding how DNS works and all of that kind of stuff. Because there's this idea of a full stack developer, which well, if you're in the programming degree now, is what I'm trying to make you, basically. And so, because the companies really want to hire someone who can do it all. Okay, so if you learn it now, or you get a job and have to learn it on the job later, that's up to you. How browsers work is more of a software understanding. This is probably super important to understand. I try to talk about that in my 099 class. But anyway, this is basically what I want you to do. But I'll go ahead and talk about this Hello Flask and get you started on the assignment. I don't think it's very long at all. So again, you don't need to do the GitHub stuff. We'll actually do this one again in Linux, but we'll be able to do it in Replit, and that'll give you some experience on how to set up a web server on Replit. I think Logan has the files for scottryan.com. Logan.com, so I might try to find him and get those back up. Wow, there's so many steps here that we get to skip. Okay. No. Here. Okay, so you would need to write a Python file. You want to name it main.py, and in there you need to include this kind of boilerplate code as a starting point. So that looks like this. So we go to Replit, and because we're coding in Python, we need a Python replit. So, and if I select Python, that's the latest version of Python. Let's make sure they're using, yeah, we'll use the latest version. They also have 2.7 on here because some Linux distributions use, still use, they might always still use 2.7, who knows. Anyway, if anyone's a Linux person, you can help me, help explain that to me so I can explain it to people better. Okay, so this is hello Flask. All right, and create that. So this is the important part. Before you do anything, you want to set it up as a Flask-enabled web server. And to do that, you just hit examples here. It's really easy to miss this examples thing. There's all kinds of stuff that's really easy to miss on here. I recommend exploring it. I wish I had time. Okay, so we want a server with Flask. All right. And that should, when we run it, it should open a browser window. Cross your fingers. Yep, okay. So let's just dive right into what this starting file has. If you've taken the Python course, some of this will look familiar. If you have not taken the Python course, hopefully you have some sort of previous programming experience in one of my courses or in Andy's Logic course with JavaScript, any programming language really. HTML and CSS don't count because they don't have any logic. Python has logic. So though we will be using HTML and CSS building templates. Okay, so what this does. So first line here, I'm accessing a file called Flask, and I'm importing from that a Flask object. So line 1 allows me to use this capital Flask to create a Flask object. Okay? If part of that doesn't make sense, just remember in programming and basically anything in technology, there's going to be a lot of gray area that'll get filled in later. So you just kind of have to take my word for it. And I'm going to keep saying that, but if I sound like a broken record, please tell me. Okay. So, so that's basically, this is what allows you to use the Flask framework. This gives you all the functions for starting a web server and building a dynamic web page. Okay. Next line. This is saying, okay, I need a Flask object, and I'll create one here, and I'll store it in a variable called app. Okay, and then line, so that way you can access it through the rest of the program. Line 4, you should look at this whole section here as one object or one thing, and it is a function definition. So this is a function called hello world, but it has this extra little attribute tied into it. So you have to put this right above your function. And what this structure is building is something called a route. So web frameworks work on a system of routes. Okay, so we're working on the back end now. Okay, so if we want to think about the full cycle of what happens in this program, when I visit the website up here, the web server gets a request. If I don't have an address here that is going to a specific file, or a specific folder or something, what it does is it looks for one of these routes with a /. Okay, that is the default code that will run if someone visits your web page. So this is kind of like the code for your home page. This would be the first thing that happens. Okay. So you say, okay, I want your home page. Before it hits the computer to get the files, Flask stops it, grabs it, and says, okay, this matches this route, so I am going to run this function, hello world, and I'll create a web page. Here's the code for that web page, so it's just the words hello world on that web page. Okay, we can add HTML in here. And it will be processed as HTML. Okay, so let me rerun it here. Refresh. Let's try opening this in a new tab. Sometimes that works a bit better. Okay, so now it's bolded and larger. And so you could build a whole web page in here, and then it could put that on there. So since we're in Python, we can actually add variables, other functions, and we can change those. So basically, we're creating a dynamic web page. So it can change depending on who's logged in, what things they've done, if they have cookies enabled, if they don't, all kinds of things. Just depends on what you need. So I could do, this is just Python, so I could do x equals 7. Let's make sure things didn't break here. Oh, okay. Ooh, getting some emails. Just wanted to make sure it wasn't from you guys. Okay. So I'll do x equals 7, which, if you know in Python, is saying create a variable called x, assign it the value of 7, and then we can do this. And just concatenate the string with x. Okay, and let's just get rid of this for now, so we can see all that on one line. Okay. So run that, restart the server. If you make changes to the Python code, you have to restart the server, because it locks in while the server is running, it's locked into the code that you used when you started it. So if you make changes, you have to stop and restart the server to see those changes. Okay, it's being a little. Ooh, I didn't break it, did I? I might have made an error in the Python code. Internal server error. You usually get that when you make a typo. Oh, wow. Okay. I see what I did. So, man, you get spoiled using different languages. They have such different features. So, you know, there is so you can even look down here to look for the answer. But if you don't want to look, if you want to troubleshoot this, pause the video, look at it and figure out what I did wrong. It's all in lines 6 and 7. And I'm going to explain it now. So pause the video if you want to try to figure it out before I tell you. Okay, and this will be the last thing because I have another class. Oh, I don't have that class. Okay, so if you need to leave at 2:30, you're free to go. If you want to stay around, you can. I'm just going to keep going until I finish the demo, and you can come back and watch it later because I'm going to have you guys. My demo is not going to do the whole thing. Is it? Is it really just this? Yeah. But I'll have you. Yeah, I'll have you guys go ahead and do this on Replit, and then we'll do it together again on Linux, just because you'll need some experience with that. Okay. So the problem is this: the data type of this variable is integer, int, and if I'm concatenating strings together, Python doesn't assume that ints can be converted to strings, so I have to cast it or change its data type using the int function, or not int, that's what it already is, the string function. That'll convert it to a string, and then it will stop crashing the web server. We're waiting. There it is, hello world 7. Okay, so see, I can use a variable in there. So let's try this. I can't remember how randint works. Okay, Python randint. Did I put an M in that? No, I didn't. Good. So Google's your best friend. Man. Oh, I gotta import random. Okay. Usually they have examples in here. Random.random. 1 to 10. Okay. I know this is gonna blow your guys' minds once you see this. It's actually kind of cool once you understand how simple a web app is. Once you see every part of it and it all clicks, you're like, wow. And then when you have ideas, like I get ideas all the time and I try to implement them. I've only been successful a few times because I move on to something else before it gets finished. All right, so I need this here. So what this is going to do is say give me a random integer between 1 and 10. I think it's actually 1 to 9. Each one, this kind of thing is in a lot of programming languages. Okay, so we'll just do import random, so it knows what that is. And let's see if it works. Four, 10, so it is inclusive. 8, we now have a dynamic web page. So this web page is only created on the web server on the fly and sent to your computer. It's not saved anywhere. And every time someone comes to your website, Flask will grab their request, translate it to a route, and run the function. And so you can put whatever you want that it will turn into a web page. All right. So I think that's enough to get you going on that. So let's see if the workspaces are ready. I can show you that, and then maybe you guys can try to do the assignment on the workspace yourself. Looks like it's available, and even mine is. Okay, so this client. I hope this works. Every semester, something that I use breaks because it's old or out of date or something, or it disappears. I'm like, hey, does anyone know where blah 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 went? I was using that a lot. They're like, that never existed. It just disappears. Okay, so I'm on Windows, so I'm going to download the Windows client. You can download whatever. You can actually do it right in a browser here, though I haven't had much luck with that. Let's try it, and then I'll just not use it if it's not good. I think it kind of limits your space. Maybe it does let you use. Well, that's not a good sign. Okay. I think I have to put in the code. There we go. Enter registration code. No, that's the right one. Okay. Okay. Well, I guess you can't use the web one. That's okay. I know this one will work. We're going to try the latest one. So it doesn't break it. Because I have the old one and I need to update anyway. So I like to put these installers in my downloads folder so that way I can delete them later. Alright. So many things. This PC downloads. Alright, looks like I need to empty that out again. Save that. So you'll need this. If you can get the web access to work, feel free to use that. If it's too slow, though, I recommend one of the clients. But if you have Mac, make sure you get the Mac one or whatever. It's funny, they have an iPad one. I don't know. I don't have an iPad. I do have a Fire tablet, but it broke, so that's not good. So I don't know about these other ones. You can try them. Anyway, it's downloaded, so I just have to install. And actually, I can just pull the registration code right from here, which is nice, instead of having to go through my email. Find it. Okay, installing. Can't imagine this program is that large. This is what you guys paid for this class for, to watch me install software, right? No, you guys got to do it too. So it's good to be able to see how things are done. Keep thinking of things I need to do. If I don't write it down, I'm going to forget. I have my phone, I have the computer, I can just type it out on here, but I'm looking for the pen. Let's do it on here, I guess. Okay. Wow, that was really slow. Okay, you guys probably can't see this as I'm running the setup, so but I have to wait before I can open the VM. So you might check your email and see if you got the email from Amazon, from AWS. It might say Amazon, it might say Workspaces, it might say both. But it should have your registration code, your username, and maybe your password, or maybe it asks you to set up your password when you start. I can't remember. You'll have to type your password all the time in this class, so that's how Linux works, the way we're going to be using it. All right. Oh, it's done. Okay. Is it going to run? I don't think so. No. It's weird to think of Amazon as a tech company, because I think they started as a bookseller. And now they're one of the largest providers of virtual computers for basically anything you want. Okay. I'm gonna have to restart my computer. This is just, I don't know if you guys can hear it, the fan. It's going into jet engine mode. Okay. So maybe you only have to do this once, because you still will have to type your username, or I'm sorry, your password a lot inside Linux, so I recommend changing it if you can. You're going to want to allow access to that through your firewall. Okay. And then now I'm looking at, oh, I didn't think about this. Okay, I think I can add this. Let me see if I can just add it in. See if I can add this. Duplicate this, and I'll just change the source. Sorry, I'm trying to get the screen so I can show you what the Amazon thing looks like. And there we go. Okay. Oh, okay, I have to make a separate window capture. I see. Okay, so, well, you guys can see what I'm looking at now. But this is what the client opens up. It's a virtual machine. It's Linux, but it has a default graphical user interface built in, which is nice because I'm assuming most of you have only used a graphical user interface. And I'm not judging, because until I actually started teaching this class, I really didn't use it all that often. Since I graduated from school. So anyway, we'll have to learn. You're going to have to learn how to use the command line, but we have this graphical user interface you can fall back on. But don't rely on it too much, because the Linux experience that you'll gain is way more valuable. Okay, so I need to change. I need to set this one back to window capture. Okay, duplicate this. That would be awesome. Oh, I can copy and paste that in. Yep, okay. And if I change this one back to this one. Can I rename this? Oh, I can. Oh, okay, now they're all ones. Okay, so I don't want to copy that. I'll have to actually create a new one. Oh, you guys can't even see what I'm doing, so sorry. I didn't think about this when I was setting this up. There's always like 1.5 million things like this, especially in web scripting too, and the higher level courses. They're you'll notice they are not like regular courses. They can't be, because most teachers have been teaching the same thing for so many years. They've perfected their presentation and they're all ready. So please don't think that I don't put it just as much work as they do into this. It's just I have to remake it constantly. So anyway. Oh, there we go. All right. Perfect. So on this one, we will do this. This. Now I can do this. There we go. Fancy. That's the fancy way to switch. I can switch back and forth. Okay, so that means we're ready to do stuff. So anyway, let's take a look at this, and you can go into full screen in here under View, enter full screen. Okay, I'm glad I have this on watching on my phone, because now I can't see what you guys can see, but on my phone I can. So all right, I'm watching it. Sorry, there's a delay, so I have to wait till I get to the same point. Come on. Need to set some transition hotkeys. I'm going to be a production pro, a producer, video production pro. Okay, he's doing it. View. Oh man, you're watching this right now. Oh good, I can see it. Okay, anyway. Mine is going to look a little bit different than yours because I've ran something called Ralph's setup script. And so that installs Chrome. You should have Firefox already installed, but we will go through how to set up Ralph's script. And I'm thinking now I probably should remake my VM before I do this, because I want to make sure I'm having the same experience as you guys, otherwise I'm not going to be able to help. Okay, so if you're like, I'm stuck in full screen, you just put your mouse at the very top, and then you can go to View, leave full screen. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and disconnect this, and we'll see. This might, hopefully this isn't no, it will be. It'll be a hassle. Okay, I think I can rebuild the workspace. Okay, restore the root and use wrong screen. No. Okay. So, latest use applications that are not part of the bundle. Okay, there we go. Okay. Okay, rebuilding. Doesn't say anything. Okay, so it's rebuilding now. Oh, I'm gonna have to remember to switch this because you guys can't see. So if you're in the chat and you're paying attention, if for whatever reason what you're looking at isn't matching up with what I'm saying, please call me out. Because again, I'm still getting used to doing this. Okay, so let's see how fast does this rebuilding go. I'm guessing it would be the same as, no, as creating. Just cross our fingers. Pending. Okay. We moved into the next step. Pending. So if you're in the chat, let me know how you're doing in real life outside the class, or you can just message me. I'm just curious because I only know what's going on in my circle, close circle, especially because everyone's isolating. Let's check it again. Nope, still pending. Okay, let's look at if I can close any of these. I don't need the random anymore. Okay. So we're going to recreate this in our Amazon VM. And see how different that is than doing it on Replit. Okay, so some of these steps will be relevant, but I'll go through them with you. Because if you haven't used command line very much, it's extremely daunting. I know. I've actually, since I started teaching this class, I've started to like it a lot more, actually. And I understand where it's the earliest way to communicate with the computer that I know of. And I understand why, after using it a while, I understand why it's still around. There's just too many things in a computer to represent them all graphically, I think. And delivering commands. I mean, you can open the command line in your computer if it's Windows. I think you can do it in Mac too. Okay. So we'll look at GitHub too, so we can set that up. So learning two new things at once, unless you've done this before. But learning two new things at once, the best way to learn. At least it's a video, so you can go back and watch it again. And you can fast forward through this part where I'm just staring at the screen, waiting for it to load. So I'm so used to things on the internet being so fast, you know? Well, I guess I could just kind of demonstrate some more stuff here. So let's say I want to add another web page to my website here using Python's Flask. So what you do is use copy and paste, because I don't want to retype all this. You can use this as a template, and what you have to change is you have to change the route name. So I'm going to name it contact. We'll use something kind of boring for this example. And then you have to change the function name. Why is that? Well, you can't have two functions with the same signature. Okay, so we'll call this contact. All right, and so these just have to have different names than any other function in the code, but it doesn't have to match the route necessarily. Okay, and I'm going to change the message here. Let's make this a italicized message that says phone number. Okay, and then let's let's do, okay, it's getting more complicated, but I think this will be more fun to do it this way. Let's turn x, instead of turning it into a variable, let's turn it into a list. Okay, so we'll do x equals this, so it's a list now, and then we want to do, I think we can do this, x dot add, to add that in, and then let's see, we want to put, how do we want to do this? So I want to fill this list with 10 random numbers. So I know there's a shuffle. I'm not going to worry about that now. I'm just going to generate the random numbers and put them in. So we're going to do for x in range 1, do 0, because remember, arrays and lists, the index starts at 0. So I want to start at 0. We want to go to 9. So if we start at 0 and we go to 9, that's 10. So we want it to go to 9, but I think in range you have to go 1 above the one you want it to stop at. So I think we do that. Okay. Let's see if I remember how to write a for loop in here. So we'll do this. X in range 0 through 10. So we'll do 0. We don't want this to be called x and this to be called x. So let's call this num, because it's a number. List of numbers. So num, that means we'll have to change it down here. And we're now we have to pull it out of a list. So we'll put the first one there. Actually, I wonder if we could just build the string. Yeah, I don't need a list for this. We'll just make it a string. Okay. Could do it this way, but there's a simpler way. There's always a million different ways to do this stuff. Okay, so this is actually going to, so I want a string, so we'll do num, yeah, num equals empty string for now. And then we will do, we don't need this anymore. So we'll generate the first number, and we'll do num equals stringify x. No, stringify the random number. We don't even need to use x because this will loop 10 times, but we don't need the 0 through 10 for this because we're just generating random numbers. So in that case, we can actually do 0 through 9 for phone numbers. Okay. So this will loop through 10 times, generating a random number each time, putting that in num. And then I don't need to stringify it here. I feel like I'm getting mumbly, so sorry about that. Also, I realize these videos are very long, so in the settings you can turn it up to 2 times speed on YouTube. Try it at higher speeds and see if you can still understand what I'm saying. That might make the video a lot shorter. And then feel free to skip through empty sections and skip around. And you don't have to watch it all in one sitting. So, manage your time. And it's funny to say that, like, what, 2 hours into the video to say that. I might chop this up into some different videos, maybe. Okay. Someday. I put it on my list of things to do. Oh yeah, I was doing Notepad. Chop up web scripting to video, because we are talking about different things in here. I'll definitely take out that part about when we're creating the accounts. Okay, so let's see if we broke everything. Probably stopped right in the middle of something important, but wait for it to tell us there's an error in Python. Oh, I forgot to put, I see, plus, right, because we wanted to build the string and keep adding to it. So stop it, run it again. It might take a, unfortunately in Replit, it seems like it does take a while to run these because it has to start up the server, check the code. On the VM, it should go a lot faster because they're much more powerful than what Replit gives you. So let's see if it worked. Oh, okay. Well, it's on the contact page. So if right now I can just do that /contact, and that'll go to the contact route. Whoops, did it replace the whole thing with contact? Yes, okay. I'd only want that at the end, /contact. So that'll bring us to the contact route, which loads this phone number. And so every time you load it, it'll give a different phone number because we used random numbers. So it's a dynamic web page. Okay. I think that's it for the Replit part. That was kind of just a little bonus because we were waiting on this. Did it go? Still pending. So I might just stop the video here. We'll make sure we have hello Flask. Let's see if you guys can get that done before the next live stream. So let's do, okay. So I used to have people to show me in class, but I don't have class. So I'll do submit your Replit. Check the video if you need help. Let's go 100 on this one. It's not, it tells you everything you need to do, but going through those steps, the more you go through them, the harder they'll stick. Man. It has looked like it's going to rain all day. Amazon told me there's a 0% chance. Google told me there's an 80% chance, so I don't know where they're getting their information from. Okay. We'll submit online text box. So you just put your Replit link in there when you're done with that. That before the next live stream. Actually, this is the midnight of the night of the next live stream. Okay. These are exhausting. But they're fun. Okay. So that's all set up. Got a due date. Got a link to the assignment. Got everything we need. So I think I'm going to stop it here. And next time, we'll go over how to set up the Amazon workspace. If you want to mess around with it before we meet next time, definitely feel free. It'd be a good idea to see if you can log in before next time because that's what we're going to be doing. I'm going to publish, nope, it's already published, the Amazon workspace module. I'll go over in detail these. So the Linux cheat sheet kind of is a thing that you might want to print out or pull up on your phone or something while you're or write it down. I guess you could if you don't have a printer. Basic Linux commands. So it'll help you learn those commands if you can have them available instead of sitting there going, what was that? Or having to Google it every time. Ralph's setup script is a script that will install all the necessary software and a lot of extra software that probably won't need. And then here's the assignment, so you can do that, and then we will move on next time. So thank you guys, and have a good day.